Hello guys, today we'll be continuing on with chapter 3 and we're going to move into section 3.5, dividing whole numbers and fractions. Make sure you copy out your title and keep your notes organized, so just pause the video, copy that down, and when you're ready, let's move on. Okay, quick little review, just follow along for right now. We've been multiplying with fractions, and the very first thing we did was multiplying fractions and whole numbers. So we're going to do this one together. Okay, so the first thing you do when you multiply with whole numbers is that you make your whole number into a fraction, and the trick that we use to do that, so 2 over 5, just copy that down, and the trick that we use is that we put our whole number over 1. Okay, then we multiply our top by our top and our bottom by our bottom. Okay, so 2 times 4 is 8 on the top. 5 times 1 is 5 on the bottom. That's good. Then you can simplify. So here I'm going to write it as a mixed number. 5 goes into 8 once, and there's 3 left over. Keep my denominator. Perfect. Okay, so what I want you to remember here is this right here. Okay, writing your whole number as a fraction by putting it over 1. Okay, so we're going to move on now. Alright, and I'm going to ask you this. What about this? What about the same thing, 2 over 5, this time divided by 4? How are we going to handle this? Alright, and I'm going to show you now. So, I want you to write this down. Okay, write this in your notes. Pause the video. When you're ready, we're going to do this one together. Okay, by now you should have this written down, and now I'm going to read it out. It's a rule. Okay, so when dividing fractions, we change the sign to multiplication and flip the fraction. Then we solve like normal. Okay, and that's going to make a lot more sense now when we do it. So we change the sign, flip the fraction, solve. Okay, so we're going to copy down this, but I'm going to put this over 1. So we're not going to do anything different yet. We're just doing what we usually do. So 2 over 5, we're going to keep the divided by for right now. And the first step is that we take our whole number, and we always write our whole numbers over 1 when we're working with fractions. Whoops, tidy that up. Over 1. Okay, so now we're going to apply this rule. So we're dividing. Fraction divided by a fraction. So what do? We change the sign first. Okay, we always write down our first fraction as the same thing, 2 over 5. So we change and flip. Change this to a multiplication, and we flip this upside down. So the 1 comes on the top, and 4 goes on the bottom. Change and flip. Okay. Alright, so we just changed our sign, and we flipped our second fraction. Then we can solve like normal. Top by top, 2 by 1 is 2, and 5 times 4 is 20. Okay, and then we can simplify that. I'm just going to divide by 2 on the top, divide by 2 on the bottom, and we get, write down our answer, 2 by 2 is 1, 20 divided by 2 is 10. Okay, so the important thing here was the change and the flip of the fraction. Okay, also make note that you always write your whole numbers over 1 to make them into fractions. Okay, make sure you have this copied down. If you have any questions, let a buddy know, or myself if I'm available. If not, we're ready to move on and try some examples together. Okay, so we're going to do these now. We're going to find the quotient, which is all that means is solving with the division symbol, quotient. Okay, I want you to write this one down. We're going to do it together. Okay, so what's our first step when we're dealing with whole numbers and fractions? We make this into a fraction by putting it over 1. So 3 over 1. divided by 3 over 8. Perfect. Okay, what's our rule? We are dividing. When we divide, so we just copy down our first fraction, 3 over 1. And then we always go change and flip. Change this to a multiplication and flip this upside down. 8 comes from the bottom to the top. 3 goes from the top to the bottom. Okay, then we can multiply. Remember, you can simplify as you go. This is just the rules that we've already been doing. Okay, so I'm going to look at my corners here and I'm going to simplify. So my corner here, I got 3, so I'm going to divide by 3 on this corner and divide by a 3 on this corner just to simplify. And then 3 divided by 3 is 1. We keep our 1 on the bottom, times by 8 stays on the top. 3 divided by 3 is 1. We multiply through. 1 times 8 is 8. Bottom by bottom, 1 times 1 is 1. That can be simply simplified and simply written as 8. Okay, so that's the correct answer there. Now, come over here. Alright, write this example down. I'm going to do it together. Same thing. First we write our whole number as a fraction. 1 over 1. And I'm just going to copy this down for right now. Good. Now, we're dividing. So when we divide, we keep our first fraction, keep, change, flip. Okay. Don't do anything with this. 1 over 1. Change our sign from division to multiplication. And then we flip this one. The 11 comes from the bottom to the top. And the 7 goes into the denominator. Okay, then we follow as usual. Here we don't have anything that's able to be simplified. So we have 1 over 1 times 11 over 7. Or 1 times 11. 11. 1 times 7 is 7. There we go. We could write that as a mixed number if we want to simplify it. 7 goes into 11 once. And there's 4 left over. We keep our denominator. Okay, so it's keep, change, flip. That is how we deal with the division of fractions. Okay, pause if you need a second to write this down or if you need to ask someone a question. If not, I want you to move on. Okay, so here I'm going to get you guys to pause the video. Try the 2 of these on your own. Come back and we'll see if you get the right answer. Okay, by now you should have these done. I'm going to quickly go through them, so I'm actually going to skip some steps here. Okay, so I'm just going to right away write this over 1 up top. Okay, because that's what the first step we do when we work with whole numbers. And then we're going to keep our first fraction, 2 over 3. Change it to multiplication. And flip, 2 over 1 now becomes 1 over 2. Okay, I see corners that could be simplified right away. I'm going to simplify them. So my 2, I'm going to divide by 2. Right here, I'm going to do the same thing, divide by 2. This leaves 2 divided by 2 is 1. We keep our 3. Multiplied by 1 over 1, because it's 2 divided by 2 is 1. 1 over 3 times 1 over 1. Multiply our tops together. Multiply our bottoms together. And the answer is 1 over 3, and that's as simplified as it can get. Okay, let's try this one here. I'm going to immediately write my whole number as a fraction. I'm dealing with division, so my rule for division is keep, change, flip. Keep my first fraction. Okay, change my sign, flip my last fraction. 5 over 1 becomes 1 over 5. Multiply our top by our top. Looks like nothing can be simplified here, so now I'm ready to multiply. 4 times 1 is 4. 7 times 5 is 35. And that cannot be simplified any further. Okay, so if you got that correct, that's great, excellent. If not, make sure you get some help before we move on. Okay, and when you're ready, let's move on. Okay, here I'm going to show you now just with the whole number in the different locations. So here we have a fraction divided by a whole number. Here we have a whole number divided by a fraction. So I want you to work that out, and you're going to find there is no difference, even though it might look a bit different. So try those. When you come back, we're going to do it together. Okay, by now you should have 2 of these done. Okay, let's look at the first one. First thing, I write my whole number as a fraction. Okay, then we're dealing with division, so what's our rule? We keep, change, flip. Keep the first one, 2 over 5, multiply, change our division sign to multiply, and we flip our second fraction. So 6 over 1 becomes 1 over 6. Okay, this can be simplified. Okay, so 2 divided by 2 is, I'm going to simplify my corners here. And 2 divided by 2 is 1. Okay, over, we haven't done anything with the 5. And I divided here by 2, so I have to divide here by 2. So 6 divided by 2 is 3. And I never done anything with my numerator here, so I just bring that down. Nothing else can be simplified. Top by top is 1. Bottom by bottom is 5 by times 3 is 1 over 15. And that's as simplified as it can go. So we can see here that because the whole number was in this location, that was what got flipped. Okay, here's our whole number. Immediately write it as a fraction. Then we're going to keep, change, flip. So this time we're going to keep our whole number fraction here. Okay, so we change this, flip the second one. 4 over 9 becomes 9 over 4. I can't see anything that can be simplified there. So 7 times 9 is 63. 1 times 4 is 4. Then we're going to write that as a mixed fraction. This is a large number, so don't be afraid to pop up your calculator. I'm just going to use the calculator that's on my computer. Okay, so I'm going to say 63 divided by 4. So 15. Okay, so there's 15 and some left over. Okay, so let's see what 15 times 4 is. 15 times 4 equals 60. Okay, so there's 3 left over from 63, and I keep my denominator. Okay, so the point I'm trying to make is just you always write it over 1 when you have a whole number, and you always remember keep, change, flip. Doesn't matter the location of the whole number in the expression. Okay, that's basically it, guys. I hope you got those right. If not, come and find me, and I'll give you some help before we get to the practice work. However, if you had no trouble with that, you're ready to move on. Here's your practice work for today. Page 132 and 133, number 3, 5, 9, and 10. Now, the instructions in these from the textbook, some of them will ask you to use things like fraction circles or, I don't know, benchmarks, anything. You don't have to use that method. That's another method that we're just not going to get into. I've decided to teach you guys this method, and we're going to just use that over and over. Okay? So when you answer these questions, if the instructions ask you to use these different methods, you don't have to use them. You can use these methods that we've done here, just the keep, change, flip. Okay? I hope that's clear. If not, make sure you ask me to clarify. All right, good luck with the practice work, and I'll see you next class.